Welcome to the Deep Dive, and a special hello to all of you joining us today on DRS Zone.
Great to be here.
Today, we're diving deep, really deep, into the world of Formula One, specifically the legendary team, Ferrari.
Always a hot topic, Ferrari.
Absolutely. And we're tackling a pretty dramatic question, I think.
Yeah.
What does the future really hold for the Scuderia, especially with the monumental 2026 season rushing towards us?
It feels like it's just around the corner, doesn't it? The changes are huge.
They really are. So our mission today is to try and cut through some of the noise, dissect the whispers, look at the strategies, and maybe the stark realities facing Ferrari.
Yeah, separating the hope from the potential hurdles.
Exactly. We've been looking at recent reports, getting some info from places like the YouTube channel Soy Motor, and insights from a pretty reputable Italian journalist, Franco Nunez, over at Motorport Italia.
Good sources. Nunez is usually well-connected in Maranello.
Right. So we'll explore their big, ambitious engine plans, the challenges, and there seem to be a few, and critically, what this all means for their drivers. LeClerc and Hamilton.
Yeah, the driver angle is fascinating.
Okay, let's get into it. Ferrari 2026. Feels like there's a lot brewing.
It definitely feels like a crucible moment. Because these 2026 regulations, they aren't just an opportunity for Ferrari to, hit the reset button.
Right.
It's also a massive chance to get it wrong. Really wrong. And that could lock them into years of, struggle.
Okay, so before we get right into Ferrari specifics, maybe let's just set the stage a bit more. The 2026 season, it's not just a tweak, is it? It's a massive overhaul.
Oh, completely. What's fascinating is just how wide-ranging it all is. It's not just, say, the aero or the chassis. It's tires, chassis, and crucially, the engines. The power units are undergoing a really significant transformation.
So for the teams, especially the big factory teams like Ferrari, this is, it's a huge opportunity, right?
Massive. A chance to completely redefine the pecking order.
So it really is a kind of clean slate. Or is that too simplistic? I mean, how clean is it for a giant like Ferrari versus maybe a newcomer?
Well, it's clearer than usual, let's say. Everyone has to design something new.
Okay. And focusing on the engines, which is our main thing today, what are the key changes we need to wrap our heads around?
Okay, so we'll still have V6 turbo hybrids. That basic architecture stays.
Right.
But the big one, the really major shift, is getting rid of the MGUH.
The heat energy recovery system. Always sounded incredibly complex.
It was. And expensive. Removing it, it simplifies things a bit, makes it cheaper, but it fundamentally changes how you generate and deploy electrical power.
How so?
Well, combined with a new balance they're aiming for, the power unit is targeting something like a 50-50 split between the traditional engine power, the thermal power, and the electrical power.
50-50. That's a huge jump in electrical contribution, isn't it?
Massive jump. And this radical shift, this redistribution, it completely changes the game for the engine builders. It effectively gives everyone, a fresh shot, a chance to, as they say, hit the key and maybe, just maybe, become the top dog.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting for Ferrari. Because Franco Nunez, in Motorport Italia, he's suggesting Ferrari wants to grab this chance with both hands, developing what he calls an extreme power unit for 26.
Extreme, yeah, that word definitely catches the ear in F1.
It does. What does that actually mean, though? What are they doing that's so extreme?
Well, based on the reports, extreme seems to cover several innovative approaches, all aimed at finding a decisive edge, really pushing the limits of what's currently thought possible.
Okay, tell us more. What are these innovations?
So the first aspect mentioned is using very small radiators.
Small radiators, how does that help? Cooling seems pretty important.
It is, but smaller radiators allow for extremely narrow side pods on the car.
Aerodynamics.
Exactly. Big aerodynamic advantage, cleaner airflow, less drag, plus it helps with weight reduction.
Weight, right, because the 2026 cars are meant to be lighter, aren't they?
They are, and hitting that minimum weight target is going to be tough. We saw that struggle back in 2022, remember?
Yeah, definitely.
So small radiators potentially offer a double game, better aero, and helps get the weight down. It's quite a clever packaging idea.
Okay, that makes sense. But you mentioned cooling. Surely there's a risk there. Managing heat with tiny radiators.
Absolutely. That's the tightrope walk, which maybe leads into the second area of innovation, the cylinder head.
Okay, the heart of the combustion engine. What are they doing there?
Well, reports like from Soy Motor suggest they maybe played around with steel, but they seem to be back to aluminum now. But the really cutting edge part is how they're making it.
Ow.
additive manufacturing, basically a very advanced form of 3D printing.
For an F1 engine cylinder head.
Yeah. Using high-power lasers to fuse metallic powders, it apparently allows them to combine different metals, even with non-organic materials.
Okay, and the advantage of that is?
It opens up, well, an enormous range of possibilities. The reports suggest they're aiming for a cylinder head that can handle extremely high pressures inside the combustion chamber.
Higher pressures. More power.
Potentially, yes. Or greater efficiency, higher operating temperatures too. It's about pushing the thermal efficiency, squeezing every last bit of energy out of the fuel. It's not just more power, it's about how efficiently they make and use it.
Incredible engineering if they can pull it off reliably.
Yeah.
You mentioned a third area.
Yes, the packaging. How the whole power unit integrates with the chassis.
Right, the synergy between engine and car design.
Exactly. And this is a huge, huge advantage for a factory team like Ferrari. Their engine people and chassis people can work hand in glove, designing everything together for optimal fit and performance.
Unlike customer teams who just get the engine delivered.
Precisely. Customer teams have to wait for the final engine specs and dimensions and then adapt their chassis. It's an inherent disadvantage.
But Ferrari isn't alone here, right? Mercedes, Aston Martin with Honda soon, Audi, they're all factory teams too.
That's a crucial point. They all have this potential integration advantage. Ferrari needs to maximize theirs.
So, okay, the ambition is undeniable. Small radiators, additive manufacturing, tight packaging. Ferrari is really pushing the boundaries.
Seems like it.
But, this all sounds like the wonderful, ambitious plan Ferrari often presents. But there's usually a but, isn't there? And the big one here seems to be reliability.
That's the elephant in the room, yes. While this extreme engine sounds amazing on paper, the blunt reality, according to Franco Nunez again, is that it's apparently facing significant reliability problems on the test bench right now.
Oof. So is this push for extreme performance, these tiny radiators, the super high pressures, is it inherently making it fragile? Are we potentially looking at another transition year for Ferrari?
It certainly raises that question. It feels worryingly familiar, as you said, like 2022.
Yeah, exactly. They had that rocket ship of an engine at the start of 22.
Yep, super powerful.
But then, pop. LECLERC in Barcelona, Sainz in Austria. Those retirements were painful. Can you maybe draw that parallel a bit clearer? What's similar? What's different this time?
Well, the parallel is developing an engine with a primary focus on peak performance, potentially compromising initial reliability. That seemed to be the case in 22. They homologated it, froze the basic design with maximum power.
Right.
And then they had to try and fix the reliability issues later within the rules. The big difference for 2026 and why it's potentially much more critical is that we're starting completely from scratch. There's no carryover engine to fall back on. If Ferrari develops this extreme engine and it just doesn't work reliably, they might have to scrap huge parts of the concept and go back towards square one.
Losing massive amounts of development time.
Exactly. Huge ground lost to rivals who maybe took a slightly more conservative, reliable route initially. And compounding this is the fact that these new 2026 engines, they're expected to have a relatively short life cycle, maybe 5 years.
5 years. That's it.
Yeah, there's already talk about maybe V8s coming back in 2031 or so. So this rule cycle isn't super long.
Wow. So if they don't nail the engine right at the start of this 5-year window, they could essentially throw the entire period away, competitively speaking.
That's the massive risk. It's a very, very real concern. I mean, think back to 2014, the start of this turbo hybrid era.
Okay.
Ferrari. It took them basically 5 years, didn't it? Until maybe 2018, 2019 to really get on terms with Mercedes consistently on engine power, especially at places like Spa or Monza.
I remember those years. A lot of catching up.
If they stumble badly again in 2026, they could spend this whole 5-year cycle just playing catch up. And remember, by year 4 or 5, development for the next engine era will already be starting. So you fall behind, and it's a massive uphill battle to ever get back on terms within that cycle.
It feels like the stakes are almost higher this time around because the cycle might be shorter.
Could be. And to add insult to potential injury, there are already whispers in the paddock, Nunez echoes this too, that the Mercedes 2026 engine, it's already looking like the benchmark.
Already. Wow. That must be a really tough pill to swallow in Maranello, especially if you're battling reliability gremlins with your own extreme concept.
You'd imagine so. It just ramps up the pressure even more. Not just to innovate, but to get it right, reliably, straight out of the box.
Okay, so Engine reliability, question marks. That kind of pressure cooker environment, it often affects the people involved, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And, well, we're hearing some potentially disturbing reports about a brain drain from Maranello. What's going on with talent?
Yeah, this is possibly the most worrying piece of the puzzle right now.
Really? More than the engine reliability?
Well, they're linked, arguably. Reports, again, from sources like Soy Motor, mention two highly respected engine engineers, Wolf Zimmerman and Lars Schmidt, are apparently leaving Ferrari.
Leaving
to join Audi, where, significantly, Mattia Binotto is now involved.
Ah, Binotto. Interesting connection.
Franco Nunez actually described it as creating a black hole in the technical personnel, the team led by Enrico Gualtieri. And the suggestion is more departures might follow.
Wow. Losing key engine experts during the development of a brand new, complex, potentially troublesome engine.
Yeah.
That's far from ideal, isn't it?
It's arguably the worst possible timing. It can destabilize everything, slow down progress, lose crucial knowledge, just when you need stability and expertise the most.
Okay, so let's connect the dots. We've got this ambitious extreme engine that reportedly has reliability issues.
Sure.
And now key engineers, engine specialists, are leaving.
Seems so.
That paints a deeply concerning picture for 2026. How does all this hit their actual chances on track? And maybe more importantly, what does it mean for the drivers? Charles Leclerc and soon Lewis Hamilton.
They must be watching this unfold with some anxiety. You have to assume so. This is where it gets very real, very personal for them. Take Hamilton. His contract runs to the end of 2025, right?
Right, with an option for 26, I think.
Exactly, a renewal clause he can activate. Now, if Ferrari's 2026 car, powered by this engine, looks uncompetitive or worse, unreliable,
he might just not activate it.
It's highly plausible, isn't it? He's moving to Ferrari at this stage of his career, presumably to win an 8th title, not to sign up for another potentially painful multi-year rebuild or transition period.
Makes sense. What about Leclerc? He signed that long-term deal, reportedly keeping him there until maybe 2029. Is he locked in no matter what?
Well, long-term in F1 often comes with caveats, as Helmut Marko pointed out recently, and he knows a thing or two about driver contracts.
He certainly does.
Almost all F1 drivers have performance clauses, escape clauses, essentially.
Oh.
It allows them to leave if the team doesn't hit certain targets, maybe failing to finish top 3 in the constructors or not delivering a competitive car capable of fighting for wins or podiums consistently.
So Leclerc likely has one of those.
It's highly, highly likely. So if the 2026 Ferrari isn't up to scratch, even Leclerc isn't necessarily tied there for the full duration, despite the headlines about the long contract.
What we're saying is we could be looking at not just this engineering brain drain, but potentially a driver drain too, if Ferrari doesn't get this 2026 package right.
That's precisely the risk. The stakes are incredibly high, impacting the team's entire future structure, not just its immediate track performance.
Goodness. And how bad is the feeling internally, do we know?
Well, according to Nunez's reporting, the situation is so delicate that even parts of the Italian press who normally have, privileged access and are fiercely loyal to Ferrari are apparently discreetly, quietly suggesting to Leclerc maybe he should think about, fleeing the team.
Wow, if the Italian press is whispering that.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it, about the internal sentiment or at least the perception of the situation from those close to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been quite an eye-opening deep dive into what's looking like a really challenging road to 2026 for Ferrari.
It really has.
You've got these ambitious, extreme engine designs, which sound amazing in theory.
The cutting-edge stuff, yeah.
But then you hit the critical reliability hurdles, and then layer on top this concerning exodus of top engineering talent. It paints a very, very delicate picture for the Scuderia.
It's this real blend of bold ambition, which you have to admire, but also stark reality and significant risk. They're right at a critical point.
And if we connect it back to the bigger picture, as you said earlier, their decisions, their success or failure in development now, over the next year or so, it's not just about the 2026 season, is it?
No, not at all. It could genuinely define their competitiveness for that whole 5-year rule cycle, maybe even longer if they get it really wrong. The stakes, honestly, couldn't be higher for perhaps the most iconic name in the entire sport.
Indeed. So the question isn't just, will they win races in 2026? It feels more fundamental. Can they actually avoid repeating past struggles? Can they hold on to their top talent, both engineers and drivers?
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, with this super ambitious, maybe fragile engine strategy, and key people apparently leaving, could Ferrari actually be heading for another prolonged period of, well, transition, instead of that triumphant return to championship contention everyone hopes for?
It's a really compelling thought, isn't it? For a team that's just synonymous with glory. It feels like a genuine high-stakes gamble on their future direction.
So a final thought for you listening. What really stands out to you from Ferrari's current situation? How do you think this mix of ambition, innovation, and these apparent internal struggles, how's it all going to play out for F1's most famous team?
Definitely something to keep a very close eye on as 2026 gets closer.
Absolutely. We encourage you to watch these developments. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Deep Dive.
Thanks, everyone.
And if you are listening on DRS Zone, please do remember to subscribe. It helps us bring you more deep dives into the fascinating world of Formula One and, well, everything around it. Catch you next time.